And because it's the month of April, before anything else, I would like to greet every Canadians, Filipino and Filipino-Canadian friends out there. Saan man kayo dito sa Canada, a blessed Holy Week. Started up last Palm Sunday, that is March 28, 2021. Then culminated this Sunday, that is the 4th of April, which is Easter Sunday or Resurrection Sunday.
It's time for the Parkland Filipino Hour with your host, Kuya Jobert Del Rosario. The Parkland Filipino Hour is aired every first Sunday of the month over the Rock 98.5 radio station in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. Here again is your host, Kuya Jobert Del Rosario.
For some in the Philippines, Holy Week is a time to take a break from the busyness of our lives and spend time with the family for relaxation by going to the beach or just chill out at home. It is also a time for a reflection, to watch religious movies or listen to religious songs. In the Philippines, there are still some common rituals and traditions that are still observed during this time of the year. That includes the following. Number 1, Palm Sunday or Linggo ng Palaspas. Palm Sunday is the beginning of Holy Week. During this day of the Holy Week in the Philippines, people flock to church with palm fronds or palaspas to be waved upon the priest entry to the church. It's like a reenactment of Jesus and his disciples as they enter Jerusalem, where people welcome them by waving large palm leaves. During the religious mass, the carefully styled palm leaves are blessed by the priest. And after the mass, at their homes, people usually place it outside. These palm leaves are placed outside their doors, believing it will prevent evil from entering their house. Also, fasting is typically observed during Holy Wednesday and Good Friday. It is when you have one meal or two small meals a day. For those who aren't fasting, they can have fish instead of meat. Others even switch to a complete liquid diet only. Fasting is done to understand the suffering and sacrifices of our Lord Jesus, what He did for mankind. As a sign of penitence, starting on Ash Wednesday and every Friday that follows throughout the Lenten season, it is observed to avoid having meat for meals and, if possible, reduce mealtime to once a day. Young children and the sick are exempted for this kind of practice. Nowadays, some devout Catholics volunteer to give up some of their guilty pleasures like smoking, gambling, or even their favorite food as a sign of penance. Number 2 on the list of traditions and activities celebrated during the Holy Week. Number 2, we have the reading of the Passion of Christ or the Pabasa ng Pasyon or just plain Pabasa. Pabasa is a ritual that includes reading of the 16th century poem called Pasyong Mahal. It is a book of chant that recounts the life of Jesus from birth until his passion, death, and resurrection. Participants of the rituals are grouped into 2. Each group sings the lines or verses by turn, sometimes in a cappella, but lately it is accompanied by guitars to make the ritual more lively and appealing to the younger generation. The reading of the Pabasa normally continues day and night, starting from Palm Sunday to Maundy Thursday. Number 3 on the list, washing of the feet. This religious ritual is usually witnessed by churchgoers during the Holy Thursday Mass, in which the priest washed the feet of 12 persons to commemorate the washing of feet of the apostles by Jesus during the Last Supper as a sign of humility and being of service to others. Number 4 on the list, we have the Visita Iglesia or the church visit. Visita Iglesia is another tradition during Holy Week in the Philippines, usually in Holy Thursday or Good Friday, where Catholics visit at least 7 churches and recite the Station of the Cross, though some churchgoers prefer to pray silently on their own. Number 5 on the list, Stations of the Cross, also called Way of the Cross or Via Crucis. Stations of the Cross is a religious tradition among Catholics where they pray and meditate in front of each of Jesus Christ's 14 images depicting the events of his crucifixion until his resurrection. And number 6 on the list, we have the Cenaculo, or the reenactment of the Passion of Christ. Cenaculo is a play that tells the story of the life, passion, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The dramatization is oftentimes held in the mountain area within the town, sometimes just within the church. In some parts of the country, the play is done in the streets, where interested tourists could watch the scene. There's also another form of cenaculo in the Philippines, and it's called the penitencia. Penitencia, wherein the performers are in costumes, walk in the streets under the heat of the sun, and hit themselves to bleed with lashes as an act of contrition. All of these events normally happens on Holy Friday. And then the last one, the salubong. Salubong is another ritual during Holy Week in the Philippines. It is usually done in the morning of Easter Sunday, usually around 4 in the morning. It's the reenactment of the first meeting of Christ and Mary after Jesus Christ's resurrection. The ritual starts with 2 processions. One side is the group carrying the statue of Mary covered with a black veil as a sign of mourning, and on the opposite side is the group carrying the image of Christ. The 2 groups will eventually merge in the middle, and then an angel, usually played by a young girl, sometimes an image of an angel with a hook in its hand is used, will remove the veil to end Mary's grieving. The merged group will then proceed to the church to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, ending the Holy Week and the fasting. Normally in the Philippines, on Easter Sunday after church, families usually gather and spend time together to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord Jesus. And to celebrate this, some will prepare lavish food at home as a form of thanksgiving. This has been the Parkland Filipino Hour. I'm Kuya Jobert, leaving you all a message. Filipino ka, ipagsigawan mo, sipag at tiyaga, puhunan mo. God bless.